but I looked at your list and I took two of the titles off the list, and I was like, one of them being cut out negativity and the other one being the strategy doesn't suck, your emotional capacity sucks. Can you explain to me what you meant by that a little? I had more notes for the top part. Like, we could talk about cutting out negativity forever because that's my fucking thing. But
Yeah.
tell me about the bottom part. Give me more context to that.
So I feel like a lot of traders, including myself when I first started, whenever I would lose a trade, right? Whenever I would lose a trade, even just one single trade, and I'd have a string of like a couple of winners, I end up losing one trade, and I automatically start thinking to myself like this
The
strategy does
strategy
not
sucks.
work.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
it does not work because then at that point when you lose that trade, what happens is you try to look for most people will look for an immediate re-entry, right? They're gonna
Right.
try to force something,
Right.
and that kind of falls under like emotional capacity. You're not be able to control your emotions, and then when you lose again, now you have two losses. Now you're blaming the strategy. Now you're saying, "Oh, the strategy really doesn't work." And then guess what? You try to spot a potential, a theoretical D1 that's not really a D1, but in your head it is because you're looking for that reentry, right?
Right.
You want to make up your losses, so you get in without really actually doing the analysis or sticking to the plan 100%. And then when you suffer that third loss, that's when you're really like, okay, the strategy sucks. I need to do something else. I need to find something else. And it happens to a lot of people. It used to happen to me when I was younger. I mean, not younger, when I first started. I know that some people might feel that way even coming into the ASFX, especially the new guys who, might suffer losses and stuff like that. But losses are part of it. It's not really the strategy. It's the fact that you keep making bad decisions based on your emotions that aren't really part of the strategy, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely. And then at the same time, when some of the strategies, even if it isn't ASFX, there's other systems, right, that work. But when some of them come into losing spells, if you become emotional and you're making those emotional decisions on top of the fact that you might come into, let's just say for us, like December when it's slower and you do get, at least last December we had a couple more losing trades. When you get into that situation, now it's really self-defeating. It's like a double negative. It's like really hard to get
Definitely.
out of that. So now that definitely makes a lot more sense. I really like these two topics together. I feel like they do go hand in hand. So I think we just roll with it. I mean, even the way you explained it right there, like I kind of want to just use that for the intro and keep talking because I think,
I kind of hope that I could say it like that again when we actually start filming.
dude, let's just listen. I have it recording. Let's just keep rolling because people, they know how it is with us. I think it actually even puts us in a good position for the people that are going to be listening to this. Like, hopefully they would at this point see that a lot of, like you said, it's real. This is us getting on the call at the end of the week to talk about everything and go over what did we do well, what do we do bad, and at the same time it's like, well, let's spin all of that into some format to teach people and share that value, to share the experience and shortcut the learning curve. So I feel like when
Definitely.
we do these videos, as like I stop it and then I start it, yeah, but like the way you just explained it, that's too good to not do it. So let's just keep rolling. You know what I'm saying? Like
You
you
know,
explained it so well. Let's go deeper into that before we go into that other topic. So for everybody listening, we Alex and I were talking. This is off Alex's list. He has a ton of topics that he is going to be writing blogs about on our website, making YouTube videos about on his channel, on my channel. We're just going to be reformatting the content in as many ways as we can to drive home these super important points and share our experience, like I said. But the first point that we want to talk about, Alex wrote it as your strategy doesn't suck, your emotional capacity does. And that's what he was explaining. As you take that first loss, make an emotional decision. Take the second loss, you make an emotional decision. And I can relate to that so much, to the point where I actually made a reference of me getting my dick kicked in today. And I was like, when you get your dick kicked in enough, then you eventually learn, what not to do in that situation. Eventually you learn to not make that second jab at that trade and jump back into it. And this week I had a really good example of that. So I feel like it's super fitting for us because I had that trade on Monday. I took the loss and dude, I wanted to jump back in Euro USD so bad. It was perfect liquid 50. EMAs were coming into a downtrend. I was like, this is probably coming down today. And because last week the dollar fell so much, I was like, the dollar's going to rebound. Euro USD is going to come down. That's going to be my move. I was wrong. And I had to swallow that and not jump back in like I used to, where I'd give back 3 trades when it should have just been 1. You know what I mean?
definitely.
And I got
Yeah,
rewarded for that this week. By from Tuesday, I found the short position. I closed it today on Friday. So it kind of came
definitely.
full circle. And you know how I like that when the trading universe kind of hands it back to you. But out of all
Yeah.
the one-on-ones, I was kind of going to start us off by asking you, out of all the one-on-ones that you've been doing with people, what do you give them as like a point of reference or a point of guidance in fixing the emotional capacity? Or maybe not fixing, that's not the right word, it's increasing your emotional capacity. Just like as traders we increase mental fortitude, that's a
Yeah.
separate bucket. You need to also now build up the armor in emotional capacity.
Definitely. So the main thing I tell my clients when I'm talking to them about trading in general is that
Yeah.
trading, we say it over and over again, you know, you and I, Ryan, everybody says it, Lindsay, that trading is really a business. It really is. And that no matter what you do, our strategy is proven to be profitable. Yes, but that doesn't mean that it's 100%. So what I tell my clients to increase their emotional capacity is to kind of accept the fact that you're going to lose no matter what you do. You could see the perfect A setup, right? You can see an A setup based on our strategy, our criteria,
Yep.
but the market does not care about your A setup, and if it wants to, it's going to reverse and take you out, which has happened to us multiple times. And one trade
Yep.
that really sticks out to me is Euro USD again. I think it was like maybe last month. It was me and you, then we were looking at it. We were looking to take a
Hmm.
short A setup right from the get. You know, perfect EMAs, not oversold, nice liquid 50, everything that checked
Space
out,
to move. Yep.
and it ended up being the worst pair of the day. Like literally the worst pair of the day where I think I took like a 0.5% on that first jab, and I was watching for re-entry the whole day to the point where I didn't enter into any other trade. So I ended the day with a 0.5% loss. But yeah, that's what I really try to tell my clients is to just really come to terms with the fact that you're going to lose regardless. You're going to lose no matter how good your strategy is, and accepting that just ups your emotional capacity. And it'll also filter out you trying to make bad decisions like trying to get back in, trying to jump back into trades without really doing
Right.
analysis, even though you think it's going to keep moving in your favor, and it just
Have
really
you gone
helps.
through that where you would jump back in? Is that, 'cause like I said, I've been in the position where I would take the loss, feel like I was doing something right, like I didn't deserve to lose, and I would care more about being right, so I would keep trading than I would about making money. So I would give back way more, and that burned me. I touched the hot stove enough, it burns me. Now I am doing a much better job at acting differently, breaking the DNA, right, and acting opposite. Did you go through that, or do you think just from seeing me and seeing other traders around you, you just kind of avoided that experience completely?
No, not at all. That's actually exactly how I came up with this topic. So every topic that I
Okay.
come up with that I want to talk about is from personal
It's
experience.
from like a
Like
mistake or from the loss,
it's
right?
from something
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
because I'm not
Well, that's
perfect.
where we learn the most, right? We learn the
Exactly,
most
yeah.
in the trades, losing trades. You learn much more in the losing trades. In life too, and losing experiences, you learn a lot. You know what I mean?
Definitely, exactly. So I've definitely gone through it, and I'd be lying to you if I say that I don't do it now, right? I don't do it as often as I used to, but there are times where I slip up because, like I said, I'm human, and there's that
Of
weird bias
course.
in us that I actually wrote about in the blog, where I think my last blog, where we're kind of more hell bent on being correct, right? To
Hmm.
the point where we'll sacrifice just to kind of prove our point, you know. And then there's times where I get into that where I'll get stopped out literally by the pip, and I'm like without even reanalyzing, I'll just jump back in, only for me to get
Been
stopped out
there.
again. And at that
Been
point, that's
there.
when I'm like, all right, let me wash my hands, let me get out of here, let me
But
go do
that's
something else,
even
man.
right there, dude. That's a big step because I feel like a lot of people can't even pull their hands off at that point. You know what I mean? And then they're even more emotional now because, like you said at the beginning of the call, now they're down two. Now they get into maybe even a good trade. And even if that next good trade is a loss, now they're even more emotionally beat down if they can't accept the losses from the jump. Like literally, when we were taking notes on this, my only note that I had on this part of the video was I was looking at it as egoless trading because ego gets in the way of your acceptance of losses, which because that the only reason that that is because you don't want to be wrong, and you're associating we as humans associate our intelligence, our value, our worth with being right, and that's not correct. As a trader, you can't associate the two. You're Alex who trades, and not every trade is a grand slam. If it was, trading wouldn't be as valuable as it is, and it would be everybody would be trading. You know what I mean? So you
Everybody would
have
be a
to be able to
millionaire.
do these things. Everybody be a millionaire, right? And I feel like even for me, and it's weird because you get into trading as an alpha, you get into trading as a high achiever, as somebody who wants to drive the ship for you, your family, you want to drive. Okay, you're money motivated too. Great, even better. And now in your entire life, if you look elsewhere, you've always tried to be right. Being right gets you rewarded. Come into trading, being right does not get you rewarded. So you literally have to break what's inside you, what's gotten you to the point that you're at for a lot of us. What's led you to success in other things, other businesses, sports, relationships. That aggressiveness almost has to be broken when you come into this. And that's how I was looking at like the emotional capacity, because you break that and you really let go. Like it's like the meditation thing, like you like let it go. Just let go of that thing you have no control over, which is the outcomes of the trades. And when you do let go of that, you turn the focus into the process, turn the focus away from the ego, and then I think you increase the emotional capacity. But it's hard. It's not easy. Most new traders definitely struggle with it. But to segue us into your other point for the video, I think if you cut out a lot of the negativity around you and some of it you don't even realize is being negative, you cut that stuff out, it gets way easier to increase your emotional capacity, to let go of those trades and to detach, to almost become more enlightened as a trader. But you have to cut out the negativity, which means friends, family, the content that you're watching. Like, stop watching Lost, as Gary Vee would say, right? Like, your people waste their time and they get caught up in, yeah, Lost, in my opinion, sometimes those TV shows, they're negative. You know what I mean? They're wasting your time that you say you want to be growing and going forward and driving the ship, like I said, but you're wasting your time. So I think if you cut out a lot of the negativity, and I want to talk to you about how you've done that personally, but I think if you do that, don't you agree, you can definitely then increase emotional capacity, definitely control the emotions more, because you're not being influenced by as many people. You have self-confidence, and that kind of comes out in your trading.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. And I feel like that's how I like to say I'm pretty good when it comes to handling my emotions when it comes to trading. And that does tie into the fact that I've learned from a very young age to cut out negativity from my life. Everybody in my family knows that no matter what, I'm the kind of guy who's going to do what he wants to do, regardless of what
Sure.
anybody thinks.
You're that
Literally,
guy.
I'm that guy. Yeah, I'm that guy in my family who has started and failed at multiple businesses,
Right.
who is pretty much a jack of all trades to the point where I know a lot about everything, like
Right.
graphics, computers,
Right.
web designing, and that's all stuff that I learned. And like even trading, I kind of just picked it up out of nowhere, and now I'm trading, right?
Right.
So I've learned from a very young age to kind of not really care about what anybody says, and even keeping like my personal life and my personal endeavors just to myself, and maybe my wife pretty much, because she's the one that supports me 100%. Not
Is
saying that
that
my
because you
family
know
doesn't.
everybody else is not going to understand? Is that really why?
Yes, yes, that's pretty much it for me. I
Because you're
mean,
like,
and I
listen, I'm
don't
not going to convince you. You're
exactly.
not going to get it. I'm not going to even waste my energy
hmm
then. I'm the
That,
same
that's
way.
exact. That's exactly how I think. Like I don't expect you to get it, and if you don't get it, that's okay with me.
Right.
We don't have to agree because everybody has their own opinions. But I'm doing what I want to do because that's just what I want to do. If you don't agree with it, then that's okay, and
Right.
that's pretty much it. So
No, that makes sense. I think the one point that you said in there that I want to go back to, you made it pretty clear. You've just adapted over time to not caring. If you go back to, like, as a child, do you have a specific memory where you did something that everyone told you maybe wasn't a good idea or wasn't worth it, and you were right, and that just like lit a fire within you, and you were like, oh, I don't have to listen to everybody else all the time. I can still go my own way. Do you have any moment that like sticks out?
to be honest, not really. And honestly, I don't even think I have a moment where where I can say I told you so yet. I think I'm still working towards there because I've had multiple endeavors. Like I told you, I've started multiple businesses that ended up failing,
Sure.
and I'm okay. I'm okay with admitting to that.
Right.
But I don't think I've gotten to that point yet where I've achieved something where I could tell somebody that, yeah, I told you so. And I'm hoping that trading is going to be that, and that's what kind of drives me to the point. Like that's what drives me to do
Absolutely.
better every day. Because this is actually
Cool
something
too.
that, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, finish. No, finish. You were
oh,
saying
but
this
yeah,
is
this
something.
yeah, this is exactly something that I actually want to be able to tell people like I told you so. Because a lot of
Right.
people don't understand trading. When you're trading, a lot of people will look at it as like gambling, right? Like, oh, you're
Right.
gambling with the markets, blah blah blah.
Right.
But there is a systematic approach to it, and if I could perfect that, not even perfect it, just get pretty good at it, then I could, tell people like I told you so. That's the goal.
Exactly. No,
The ultimate goal.
I think you also have to give credit to the fact that, and I want to circle it back to the topic of cutting out negativity, but by cutting out negativity and bouncing from thing to thing, from business to business, you might have failed on paper. The business might not have become the 6 or 7 figure or 8 figure business that you wanted it to be, but you gained a skill in that process that now when I look at you from the outside as a friend and as a business partner, I look at you and I'm like, all of those businesses that you did all prepared you to be what you are right now, to be in the position that you are right now. You can put all of that together and your knowledge of trading to increase your income more than ever. You have like open road in front of you because of those failures, but you never even would have experienced those failures had you not cut out negativity. Had you been afraid to step out on your own, you would have never experienced the failure, which would have never led to growth and learning and then this opportunity. But see, people don't get that. And I feel like it's tough. A lot of people are even afraid to fail. People are coddled, like in today's day and age, you know the joke, like the fifth place trophy kind of thing. And to me, I do think that in a way that is a negative outlook on life, because life doesn't reward you for being fifth place,
No, not at
especially
all.
right now with this virus. Everybody's jobs are all up in the air. You know what I mean? If you don't have control, like people like you and me, you're in fifth place and you think you should be getting rewarded, but you are not. And that definitely would be upsetting, definitely would be a tough pill to swallow. So I feel like now more than ever, because there's even so much negativity on the outside. Like, we go on Twitter, we tweet our trades, and all you see is protests and riots and all this crap. It's all negative. All I do is try to talk about money and helping people make more money, and it's everything else I feel like is so negative. So you really have to block that out. Do you even pay attention to like the news and all that stuff, or you just stay off it? Because, dude,
No,
imagine putting
not at
that into
all.
your brain while you're trying to trade. It's too much information.
No, man. The only time I really get updated on like current events, which is kind of a bad thing, but it's like a double-edged sword. But you're right. I like most of the time the news, they never really highlight the good things if you think about it, right? Because happy doesn't sell. Like happy does not
That's it,
sell.
bro. You know it.
Negativity sells. Negativity
Yep.
negativity increases ratings. That's what they want to
Why? Because
portray.
people want to see other people in a bad position because they think they're in a bad position. They're not
Yeah.
happy. A lot of people aren't happy with where they're at. So it's easy for negativity. What is the quote? Negative, isn't it? Misery loves company. That's the
Yeah,
quote.
Misery Loves Company. Yep,
It's
yep.
fuck.
And
It is true as hell, man.
yeah, it's crazy. Like, yeah, they never portray it, so that's why I kind of stay away from a lot of that media stuff. I mean, the only time I ever get news is like through Instagram or like Facebook, and that's when I'm just
Right.
scrolling randomly. But
Right. Or I blow you up with like 40 tweets and I in the DM and I'm like, no, but look at this. You know what I mean? Right. Something like that.
definitely.
But
But
it is a double-edged sword. What were you gonna say though? Go ahead. Finish.
I don't know. But I just want to circle back to when you were saying
Yeah,
that
yeah. Please.
that you have to cut out negativity, and I kind of want to touch on like every pretty much successful business person or entrepreneur now. Like if you're looking at like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, like all those tech gurus and stuff like that that have billion-dollar companies, you kind of have
Yeah.
to imagine that they had to cut out a crap ton of
Oh my God.
negativity to get to where they
Imagine.
are. Yeah, so
You can only
imagine that.
imagine. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the mindset that you have to adapt if you ever want to be successful or something. And you can't be afraid of failure, like,
I
and that
mean,
kind of goes hand in hand with trading with our
right.
losses, right? We always like to say that,
Exactly.
you're going to lose a bunch of times before you win, but you got to learn to kind of chew those losses and just keep pushing forward.
It's so true. And imagine like when Steve Jobs was saying his ideas for home computers and then eventually the iPhone and these crazy ideas. Imagine how many people were negative. No, someone listening is going to say in the comments on YouTube, they're going to be like, Austin, trading can't be compared to Steve Jobs creating the iPhone. And I would say, no, it's not as far as like a moment in history, but you should look at the idea of like most people don't even know what Forex trading is. They don't even know that they can make money from home. They don't know what a broker is. They don't know about any of this stuff. It might not be our original idea, Forex trading. We would never say that it is, but it is new, and it is so new that it is almost like the same sense of, it creates the same sense of fear and skepticism because it's so new, like the iPhone did. Almost like, no, it's too good to be true. You know what I mean? Steve, that can never happen. Austin, you're never going to be able to make enough money to live on your own and trade. Well, we're moving to Florida. You know what I mean? Steve was
Yeah,
like, well, I'm getting on stage and I'm going to sell one to almost every person on the fucking planet. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like, people, when you push those boundaries and it starts with cutting out negativity, then you actually break through. I remember when I dropped out of college, my dad was so pissed, dude. Like, he was so mad, but he still, for some reason, gave me, a slight little bit of support in that he didn't cut me off. He didn't like stop talking to me, didn't disown me as a son, even though I had spent all this money that he had saved up for me to go to college. And I basically, on my last year, was like, no, I'm going to drop out and just trade. I'm going to figure this out. And to him, at that point, that was a waste of money. He's like, I wasted 80 grand. I saved that up for you, blah, blah, blah. So he definitely could have cut me out. And I think that he and I started to build a little bit of a negative relationship. So I had to like shift away from that. And I ended up moving into Philly, moving out of New Jersey, and kind of distancing myself from him and a lot of my family that didn't like me really and didn't like my decision, I guess, to leave college. But I feel like by doing that and isolating myself, of course, there's going to be negatives to every, decision that you make. But I think it also brought me a lot of positives. The isolation let me go deeper into myself, deeper into my mind. I found more positive influences, way more positive than, no offense to my dad, I love my dad, but no, way more positive than he was being to me. He was questioning me from a negative perspective when these people were making me ask myself questions from a positive perspective. And all I'm doing is watching their YouTube videos. So I was like, I'm going to go
exactly.
down this hole here of just positive content, and I'm going to block all these other people out until I figure it out. And then, I think because I have a good whole, a good heart and a good soul, a good whole, a good heart and a good soul, I feel like when someone like that, gets into a decent position, then you don't turn around and you don't say, I told you so, like you were saying before. You don't want to do that. You almost, Riley and I, you feel bad. You know what I mean? You don't want to be that person. You don't want to be like, oh, I told you, Dad. It's not going to get anyone anywhere. It's like, no, like let's still turn and help. Let's still turn and encourage. Let's still turn and boost everybody up. You know what I mean? Which is, again, a reaction or an outcome of more positivity. If I consumed negative content all the time, as soon as you start to make a little bit of money, it becomes an enhancement. You know that. As soon as you start it enhances your personality. So by
Hmm.
being negative, you could be rich, but you're going to be an asshole. But if
Yep.
you consume the positive content and cut out the negative people, as you start to make more money, you'll be more positive with that money. It'll be towards a better impact, in my opinion.
Definitely. Yeah, I 100% agree with everything you just said right there. Money is the root of all evil. And if you are already stemming from like negativity, exactly like you're saying, you're consuming negative
Mhm,
content, you have a
mhm.
negative mindset, you're going to take that money and you're pretty much going to be like a Doctor Evil, you know? You're going to be like
Exactly.
you're going
Exactly.
to be like an evil Batman, like a Lex Luthor or something like that. Somebody who's rich
Exactly.
who's just going to try to do bad stuff. So I totally 100% agree with that, man. Great
I
points.
wanted to ask you, thank you. What did you I have a couple one more note here that I think is important for me to share. What do you think negativity is rooted in?
Um, I feel like negativity for most people is rooted in misery and I guess self-experience, like negative self-experience. So when somebody experiences something negative that happens to them, they kind of want to, um, like, I guess, shed that out to everybody else. And they want to make it seem like everybody else is suffering the same way they are. So that's why I
100%.
feel like negativity really stems from. There's really no other reason for it to come from. Like, I'm
The way
barely
I,
negative to a lot of people because I just don't shed that type of energy. Like no
but you
matter
know
what, if
why?
somebody would,
I got
yeah,
the word for you. It's insecurity. That's the word you're looking to use. Negativity is rooted in insecurity. The experience that you're talking about that someone will have that will then make them negative, that experience has not made them negative in their blood. That experience has made them self-conscious, made them insecure, for whatever reason. You know what I'm saying? And then that insecurity comes out as negativity, comes out as you can't do that because I can't do that. But the second part of that sentence
exactly,
they never say. So it's
yeah,
insecurity. But where is insecure? This is my notes. Ready? So I'm writing this down when I'm thinking about this last night, 10 o'clock at night, when I sent you the picture. Negativity is rooted in insecurity. Okay, so let's take that deeper. What does it mean to be insecure? It's I wrote fear of what they don't have or think that they never will. That's what being insecure means. You think that I have something that you can never have, so you're going to be pissed at me for every time I win, and you're going to be
yeah,
negative towards me, and I'm going to cut you out. But that's where your negativity is rooted in the fact that you don't believe you could have what I have or whatever somebody has, which is the furthest thing from the truth. Because anyone can
definitely,
accomplish anything, you just have to want it bad enough, right?
definitely. No, I 100% agree. And have you ever encountered like a person who's so pessimistic that when you end up telling them like an accomplishment, something as simple like, hey, hey man, I just got my college degree, and then the person responds, but good, but now you have $100,000 in debt. But you know they
Bro,
always
those are
do.
the people that always, I call them, they always got something to say. You always got
Always,
something to say.
man.
You can't just shut up and take
Oh
it.
man.
Like just, you know, but it's weird because here's the thing. This is what I think people get confused. Some people might think that just because I don't say that second half of the sentence doesn't mean I don't think it. No, of course I think it. When someone tells me that they just got their college degree, of course I'm super happy for them. That's awesome. They wanted to do that. They accomplished something. It's fantastic. And of course you are in debt. It's a fact. But to
Yep,
choose to say it, well, for most
yep,
people, I know some people are fortunate like I was that don't have the debt, but you know the point. To say it, to put that negativity out, only would
yeah.
come out of your mouth because you're consuming negative content on your own. If you're
That's
positive, you would just stop. I just know it. You just would never go to that extent. There's no reason to
you just
because
congratulate
I'm
them, yeah.
I'm good, you're good, we're all good. Like there's no you know what I mean? And it's cool because
Exactly.
I think you can actually calm people out of that insecurity. Like we had a call earlier today with one of our guys who's been with us for a while, and he started to do the meditation app, the waking up app, and he's doing it before his trading. And I think he's literally breathing himself through some of these insecurities, like just working himself through it, realizing that there's no reason to hold on to these things that he has no control over, which are stupid insecurities from childhood, stupid insecurities from people around you, negative people around you that you should have never even been around in the beginning. And a lot of it, it's weird. A lot of it can go back to our parents. You know what I mean? Your parents and the people around you as a kid can be a huge influence on you for the good
Definitely.
and for the bad too. You have to be aware.
Yep.
You just got to look at it.
No, yes, 100%. Like, you know, like I love my mom, but she was also, I guess, wrapped in negativity, right? Because I mean, I kind of understand. She was an immigrant who came here, and she had a rough life because pretty much from when she got here, she was just working, working, working to the point where all like the bad experiences, like bills and all that stuff, has kind of like latched herself onto her. And when I was actually saying the example of like, hey, I got a college degree, but you have $100,000 in debt, I was actually stemming that from my mom because my mom
Really?
used to do that all the time. Yeah. Now she's a
Yep.
little bit more positive, which is great because she's getting close to retirement and stuff.
Dude,
But
maybe
when I
it's like an
was,
old person thing because my parents are the same way. My mom's the
yeah,
same way.
when I was younger, I would come home and be like, oh, I remember one time when I first started working full time and I actually got a salary, right? I remember telling her that, hey, ma, I got this nice salary, and it's all this stuff. And then the first thing that she says is, good, but now you have to pay more taxes. But now you have to, it was always a but now or a but
Mm.
something. It was never just
Mm.
like a congratulations or kind of,
Do you
like a
think
type
that
of
that's
thing.
just a mindset of poverty? Is that what that is? Just a mindset of like every time something good happens, something bad has to happen as well?
Yeah, like I feel like some people it's like they just can't take the good. They have to take the good and the bad, which is fine because it does happen. Good and bad does happen. But if you focus on the positivity, then more positive stuff will happen
That
for you
was
in
my
the
next
negative.
question. Do you think that you just so like because when I like again, it's also a perspective because like your mom's perspective on that, it's a perfect example because I know a lot of guys that have way more money than me and they're like, I want to pay more money in taxes. You know why? Because that means I'm making more money. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Hmm.
it is literally the same situation, but they have a completely different perspective that's way more positive. And look
Yeah.
at what look, I mean, again, money is not everything, but I'd much rather be rich and then have that problem than be poor worrying about making more money and having to pay more taxes. You know what I mean? So
Definitely.
I
And
think
worry about the
like it
taxes being like as a deduction on your actual income, as opposed to,
exactly.
somebody who has a little bit more money, they're paying that out and they're like, you know what, this is my due, and I'm still okay with my chunk.
Exactly.
I get that. Yep.
Exactly. No, that's dude, good points. This is a good topic. I'm glad that we got this out. Do you have anything else on these two that you want to get out for everybody?
Um, no, I mean, I guess the emotional capacity we could really touch on a little bit more, just to kind of drill it into people, or traders in general, that, emotional capacity is really something important that you want to try and master. You're never going to perfect it, obviously, but
It's
you
not
want to try
even
and get better at,
exactly. You don't want to perfect it. It's just grow into
yeah,
it. So like
grow
let's
into it.
try
Yep.
to let's think like what can we leave everybody with as one thing to increase your emotional capacity?
Besides cutting out negativity, because I think that was a really good one.
That is definitely an important piece of it for sure. I would say um for me, writing stuff down has always been an easy thing to like then say this is what I'm doing. If I put it on paper with the pen, it's a lot easier for me to stick to. So I like today with my trade, forcing myself to be a little bit more patient, forcing myself to take a little bit more um, of a step in the direction of testing my emotional capacity. That's kind of the way that I try to do it, where I force myself into not bad trade ideas, but newer ideas that are tested and proven. Like there's something, it's not like I'm going off edge, but just taking it a step deeper. So that's how I increase my capacity or at least challenge myself to. What do you do? You have anything?
Definitely. I think I agree with you. As we had our conversation a little bit earlier, is that, I started actually really journaling.
Journal. Yep.
And when I mean journaling, I'm actually literally just writing every thought
Yep.
that I have down,
That's
to the
amazing.
point where I even go over like my trading day. So at the end of the day, I'll actually sit down and write down exactly how I felt, if I had made any mistakes, and how I could do better the next time. And literally before I sit at my desk and start trading, I'll pop it open and I'll read what I had entered the day before, and that pretty much helps me build emotional capacity because, um, it kind of gives me like an insight on what I did wrong and what I could do better the next day,
It
so
gives
that
you
I
a
don't
point to
suffer.
start at.
Exactly. Yep. So if
I
I
like
know
that.
that, yes, say like yesterday I made a mistake by closing out too early or getting scared because I went into a little bit of drawdown, and then I closed the trade because of that,
Right.
then I'll highlight that in my journal and be like, tell myself, like I'll write to myself in a
You're
third
bringing
person and be
awareness
like,
to it for the next day
yep,
so you don't make the same mistake. Yep,
exactly.
exactly.
Yep.
So it's like just literally forcing yourself into a new layer of growth almost because you, I mean, if you make a mistake on Monday, you write it down, you journal it, and then you make the same mistake on Tuesday, you're going to feel pretty stupid to where you probably won't do it again on Wednesday. We're not
Definitely.
that
Yep.
complicated. Humans are pretty predictable in that sense.
Definitely. And if you end up reading it like before your trading day, like right before you start, it's kind of fresh in your head, right? Because sometimes we'll wake up and we'll kind of just be so focused on the day in front of us that we'll forget everything that happened the day before. Has that ever happened to you? Where you kind of like just,
Absolutely.
Yeah, you kind of today's a new day, which is good. Sometimes you want to forget and you want to approach every day new. But if you made a mistake the day before, you want to kind of acknowledge it before starting anything, and that's really helped me. Reading
Definitely.
my journal from the my entry from the day before, so that when I enter the markets on that very day, I'm like, all right, this is fresh. I know I did this wrong. I don't want to do this today.
And that can even carry forward to like helping you keep a bias. Like you can find it easy to follow trades sometimes. Like again, this week, Euro USD, multiple short opportunities. You could, if you're reading that journal, like, yo, I was looking at Euro USD short, didn't find my entry. You come in the next day, that's going to be the first thing you look at. Cool. It fits your, not only does it fit that bias from yesterday, now the technicals line up. Cool. This is easy now. We're in the right direction. Now we just need our timing. So you can even use
Exactly.
that to kind of like tee you up almost for a great trade. I like that a
Yep,
lot.
definitely, definitely.
So for everybody listening, we appreciate you sitting through with us. This is a really good video, Alex. I'm glad that we got this in. I think we're going to keep pumping them out for you guys. Keep sending us questions, keep sending us topics. We're going to keep getting these done. I'm going to link Alex's blogs below in both of these videos. We'll put the description for everything. We'll cover all of that in the links down below. So Alex, always brother, I appreciate you. I'm glad that you had a good trading week, and we'll have to do another one of these next week. Keep it coming.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Nice talking to you, bro.